Yeah. It's good afternoon, Dr. Paul Taylor. Welcome back to Yellow Shelf.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again in such a short space of time.
This is book number two, published book number two. Congratulations, The Hardiness Effect. Tell us all about it, Paul.
So, hardiness is it's a kind of a close cousin of resilience, but it's also different, right? Resilience is an outcome. It doesn't tell you how to get there,
Yeah.
whereas hardiness does.
Okay.
And there are so many real world benefits of hardiness, from career longevity and high performance occupations such as military, police, first responders, but a huge amount of benefits for people's physical health if they're higher in hardiness. Even kids higher in hardiness are more likely to go to university.
Yeah.
And so there's so many real world benefits, and you can learn hardiness much easier than you can resilience, because it is a pathway. And that's why, I was studying it in my PhD, and I thought, actually, you know what, this is going to make a great book
Yeah.
after the second one. So that's really what hardiness is.
Yeah.
But in all the literature, and there's 30 years of research behind it,
Hmm.
but it's all about psychology. Now, I'm a psychophysiologist, so I just had to bring the physiology to match the psychology, because I'm a firm believer that anybody tells you that you can optimize for mental health and cognitive function just with thinking skills is
Yeah.
batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Our physiology and our psychology are intimately entwined, and
Yes.
this is what I really dive into in the hardiness effect. So things that you can do cognitively
Yep.
as well as physically to really grow from stress, optimize your health, and live longer.
Yeah. And Paul, I'm really glad you mentioned that about kids and children because I'm the mother of my kids are sort of hitting those teenage years, and my kids get drilled into them about just being curious about the world is enough.
Yeah.
So, in reading your book last night, I was thinking about my own children.
Look, it is hugely important. And in fact, me and my wife are creating a year 10 hardiness curriculum
Ah,
for a school
yeah.
in Warrnambool. That's going to be
Wow.
20 weeks of hardiness training for
Yeah.
kids, because I think kids need it. It's life skills. It
Yes.
really is life skills, that ability to believe that you can control or influence your environment, your destiny, and focus on what you can control. That's
Yeah.
control orientation and hardiness.
Yeah.
Then viewing change and difficulty as opportunities to test and develop yourself. That's challenge orientation. And then commitment orientation is about being fully engaged in life, not with
Yeah.
your head buried in a friggin' screen
Yeah.
watching bullshit cat and dog
Yeah.
videos or tossers on Instagram, right? It's about
Yeah.
being engaged in your life and feeling that there's a sense of meaning and purpose, but
Yeah.
also being committed to your well-being.
Yeah.
And then I've added a fourth one, which is connection orientation. And I
Yes.
think that's hugely important today. We are digitally more connected than ever, but more socially disconnected.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
that's the psychology, but the physiology is about doing hard stuff to
Yeah.
train your body, right? In the military, we call it stress inoculation training.
Yeah.
Actually going through stressors deliberately to create adaptations in your body that prepare you for the inevitable challenges of life.
Yeah. And look, it was made me think last night when I was, diving into the book. It, people like avoid stress, but then there's people who face stress and still don't get real about it. And what I loved about
Mm.
your book is just leaning into it and also, yeah, just knowing that it's actually it can be comfortable in that space.
Yeah, and it's the more often you do it, you actually training yourself. The Stoic
Yeah.
philosophers talked about a hard winter training.
Yes.
That was the precursor for this military stress inoculation training. But one of the key things is having a challenge orientation.
Yeah.
So viewing potential stressors as a challenge, because what it does is it changes both your psychology and your physiology.
Yeah.
If you view it as a challenge, you become motivated, you lean in. It's what we call approach in psychology. Whereas
Yeah.
if you view it as a threat, you actually back away. It's the fight, the run away, the flight part of the fight or flight,
Yeah.
whereas challenge is the fight engagement part. But it also changes our physiology. With a
Yeah.
challenge orientation, you activate adrenaline and noradrenaline, which prepare your body to deal with stress. Whereas when you are in a threat orientation, cortisol comes over the top, completely changes your cardiovascular response. And cortisol lingers for hours in your body, whereas adrenaline and noradrenaline are out within minutes.
Yeah.
So having that psychological orientation of this is a challenge changes so much in the equation.
Mm. And Paul, like your previous book, which we have talked about on Yellow Shelf, Death by Comfort, this one is just so full of practical things that just kept me thinking. I'm still thinking about, ways in my world, yeah, to kind of help myself, my kids, my husband, my
Mm.
network. As per usual, loads of great stuff. Anyone watching who doesn't know Dr. Paul Taylor, I know you mentioned, you've got more qualifications than anyone I feel like I've ever met. You're incredibly engaging. You're a podcast host, speaker, advocate. Tell us a bit about you. Like, what do we need to know about you if we're learning about you for the first time?
I think probably the important things. My career is pretty eclectic. I'm ex-British Armed Forces, spent 8 years flying in helicopters. I also did combat survival and resistance to interrogation training, which probably started my journey in this. But then I left the military and became a geek. So I'm now an exercise scientist. I'm a nutritionist, a
Yeah.
neuroscientist, and I've got a
Wow.
PhD in psychology. So I actually like to call myself a psychophysiologist.
Okay.
It's that combination of body and brain. And for the last 15 to 20 years, I've been doing corporate workshops all around peak performance resilience. Now hardiness
Yeah.
is my pet thing because I think it's just so impactful.
Mm.
And podcasting and writing and for me, just wanting to give people practical tools, evidence-based, that they can use. Because you'll see from the book, I'm a pracademic,
Yes.
which means I love to read all the geeky academic research. And when I read it, I'm thinking, how can I use this practically?
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
that's kind of my unique skill, is taking all that complex research and going, right, here's what it means. Here's the program. Here's what people can do.
Yeah. And Paul, I'm going to put in the show notes how to connect with you. You have a website, you have a podcast.
Yeah.
Are you going to keep writing? Like, is there more to come? Is there a kid's book for this as far as
There.
parents, like
So
where we...
Yeah, so interestingly, me and my wife are developing a curriculum, a year 10 curriculum with a
Mm,
school in Warrnambool
wow.
around hardiness
Mm,
for skills, and it's 20 weeks mapped to the Victorian education standards.
yeah.
So we want to roll that out. And my publisher, Wiley, when I told them, they went, that sounds like a book, Raising Hardy Kids.
Yeah.
So that's
Me
probably going to
too.
be the
Yeah.
next book
Yeah.
sometime next year.
Oh, awesome. Paul, thank you so much for joining us. Can't recommend it highly enough. I already have about 5 friends lined up who want to get stuck into this when it's officially launched. It is available for pre-order, so I'll put
It
some.
is.
Paul, thanks again.
It's an absolute pleasure. And there's a 25% discount on the
Oh,
end. So at the risk of sounding like a used car salesman, get on to Amazon and
get
get your
on.
order in and get some savings.
Absolutely. Thanks, Paul.
Super.
Cheers.
Thank you.